even. Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line into right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Round ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick. Winning edition of Chatterbox Reds on a lovely Saturday night. And I don't know if it's the fall yet or not. I'm very terrible with dates. I have no idea if we're in the fall. I assume it's still the summer. You know when the fall starts, Nick?
I have no idea.
Not a clue. Nick is obviously right now. He's just, there's times where you can see what's going on the show. This is one of those times where Nick's kind of in a fight or flight mode. He's in firefighter mode. When he gets in those modes, you just got to kind of fill the air until he's ready to go. And so I'm going to fill the air. And nobody better to help me fill the air than Ned Flanders coming in hot. He said, just because it's nepotism doesn't mean it won't work. Oh, that's pretty funny, Ned. I kind of like it. Nepotism or not. Shout out to Kelly. I don't know. I mean, he had a pretty decent Korean career. Good enough
he was
career to earn a shot in the big leagues. I don't know, but hey, it's a cool story. That's why you go for it. Don't let the performances of the past get in the way of a good story, Nick.
He was an all-star in Korea.
I was an all-star in Little League. He's got nothing for me. Got nothing for me on that. I also have something to admit. Similar to Craig here. The amount of pitches I watched in this game today, unfortunately for me, might be close to a season low. Obviously, for doing a show, it's definitely a season low. So I'm not going to be able to kind of provide the dynamite insight on a night in night out basis that I typically provide tonight. I was watching the Big Blue play the Baden Rams of all things on Chatterbox for most of the night, and I just kind of got sidetracked. And then after that first inning, to be quite frank, it was kind of like, hey, we're in cruise control. But maybe I missed something. Nick will tell me all about it at some point. You're excited about Ted Lasso. You got that on the rundown. The very first thing. The very first thing. Now, I'm going to say something about Ted Lasso that you might not like, Nick. I'm going to get this whole thing started. I don't know if you're ready to go there or not, but I'm going to tell you something, okay? I was led on to Ted Lasso by this guy, Nick Kirby, right? He's like, Ted Lasso, great flick, great flick, great flick. Enjoy it. So I watched the first one, and I'm like, you know what? Not bad. Watch the second one. Got better. Then I was hooked. Then I was hooked, right? I'm all in on Ted Lasso. I got to be honest. They rushed the end of this series. I don't know why they rushed the end of the series if they're going to do another one. It felt like they were on a time crunch and they just rushed through the script as fast as they could. There was one show, okay, that took what seemed like literally a single day in the life of Ted Lasso. It was a 2-hour show, but the span of it was about 2 hours. Or not 2 hours. It was about 1 day of actual time frame within the show. And then we had one show that basically spanned a year and a half. We need to be better. We need to be a little bit better. I'm all in on Ted Lasso if it's going to be done not haphazardly like it was at the end of the last season there. What are you going to say about Ted Lasso that you're so excited about?
Just excited. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest shows of all time coming back. I think you're absolutely insane for thinking it wavered as it went on. It's incredible. It's a great ending, and I'm glad it's come back. I don't care what it's like. It's a great moment.
Greatest show of all time.
I didn't say the. I said one of the.
One of the. Well, that's very, very subjective. Fergie comes in and says, Trace, define nepotism, please. And nepotism, Fergie, is when you're given opportunities that you probably otherwise wouldn't have deserved on your own merit, and you only got those opportunities based off of who you know or other factors within your life. Now, I don't have a Webster dictionary in front of me, but I'll be damned if that's not a great definition I just provided everybody live on air with this brain. That was, in my opinion, pretty damn good if I say so myself. Mark Federer says, Trace, answer your wife. This is great. We're making a bunch of money tonight, Nick, and it's largely my wife just giving us money who I'm losing money. Trace didn't watch the Reds. Says he was watching the Big Blue. I know otherwise. Tell the people the truth. I also paid $4.99 to have characters. I don't even know what the hell that means. Listen, I may have been watching the Big Blue game, and I may have been hitting some golf balls, okay? But you know what? I'm just telling you, I'm as transparent as can be. All right? Telling the truth tonight. Are we at the box score recap, by the way? I know one thing. I didn't throw anybody under the bus tonight, Nick. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, right? I'm on here. We're ready to go. People are questioning us whether or not we're going to start this show on time. We started it as on time as we could have. But I will say, I'm glad to have you, Nick. You look great. I can't wait to get dragged through this show by you.
Yeah, I was not expecting Rowdy Tellez to get through a 30-second inning. Like, that kind of really just threw me into a tailspin trying to catch up here. And I don't know.
Well, that's what happens when Luke Maley's
running
on.
the accounts and getting ready for a show, and Rowdy flies through an inning.
Well, you know, hey, Luke Maley, he decided he wanted to get to dinner reservations, and not a bad play by him.
The problem I run into, Trace, is is when I get stuck in between. Like, I'd almost rather just have to completely half arse show versus like,
Yes.
but once I've like started and I've been writing the box score recap all night and I've been grinding through trying to have everything look good.
Right.
And then you get to the end and it just all goes to crap. That's when it's really hard for me to just like say whatever, because I've already put so much effort into it.
Right.
If I hadn't put any effort into it, I just rolled down here, I'd be like, oh, whatever, we'll roll through a show. But once you're kind of stuck in between, man, that's where it gets me in the heart.
Well, I tell you right now, we're not gonna roll over. We're not gonna roll over a show. We do all one. We personally don't do every single one, but we're damn near close to it. This might be the greatest show of all time, Nick. I mean, it could be. You never know. You never know where the show can go. We already have a whole host of topics we already discussed, and we haven't even gotten to the box score recap. So we're already off to a pretty damn good start, if you ask me. So without further ado, and I'm going to say farther because that's what I do, Nick Kirby with the box score recap presented by himself.
All right, Reds taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Game 3. I already screwed up. Game 3 of 4 in Pittsburgh. Reds entered just 5-15 in their last 20 games at PNC Park. It was Barry Bonds' night in Pittsburgh. He was inducted into the Pirates Hall of Fame, and the Reds offense, they honored Barry on this night. Reds capitalized on an ugly top of the first from Pirates starting pitcher Jake Woodford. Ellie De La Cruz walked. He stole second base, number 61 on the year. Stevenson walked, then Friedel singled home Ellie. Steer doubled home Stevenson and Friedel. Steer then stole third base, number 22 on the year for Steer. And then Ty France hit a sac fly quickly, 4-0 Reds. Julian Aguilar faced the minimum in the bottom of the first, thanks to O'Neal Cruz grounding into a double play to Ellie De La Cruz. But in the bottom of the second, Aguilar gave up a home run to Rowdy Tellez. Was hit a mile into the Allegheny River, 4-2 Reds. Game stayed 4-2 going into the fourth. That's when the Reds broke the game open in this one. Dom Smith led off with a double. Will Benson then crushed a ball at 104 off the bat that literally went right through Pirate second baseman Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. That made it 5-2 Reds. India singled, Ellie singled, Benson scored, and Ellie got the second on the throw to make it 6-2 Reds. Jake Woodford's day would be done there. Pirates then brought in Hunter Stratton. Stratton's fourth pitch of the game was a wild pitch that didn't bounce that far away from the plate, but Jonathan India very aggressively ran home. The ball bounced off Stratton's glove on the throwback from the catcher. Ellie came all the way around to score, 8-2 Reds. Stratton unfortunately had an ugly injury on the play and had to be carted off the field. Reds put up 2 more runs in the sixth on hits from India, Ellie, and Stevenson to make it 10-2. Julian Aguilar finished off a successful start number 2 of his big league career, allowing just 2 runs on 3 hits over 6 innings. And then Casey Kelly just called up through 3 perfect innings of relief to finish off the game. Reds win 10-2. Reds now 63-67 on the season. And despite all of the runs scored, there's no homers from the Reds.
There wasn't. And, that's the crazy thing tonight. You look up and a lot of offense. 12 hits, and not a single one of them went over the wall. Ethan O'Donnell, though, my God, this guy is like in fuego. 3rd straight game for the Dayton Dragons with the home run. He was the 6th-round pick out of Virginia, for those that don't know, in 2023. O'Donnell entered today hitting .337, .385, and .639 with a .976 OPS in the month of August. And he is, once again, he's taking it. Every time the Reds can't come up with the deep drive of the day, here comes Ethan O'Donnell with the deep drive of the day, and it's sponsored by DSC, and they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information, and thank you to John and his team at DSC. I made a slight mistake. I had what we would call kind of some beef jerky down here, and it had the very, very remnants of it and a lot of pepper at the very, very bottom, Nick. And during your box score recap, I decided to inhale that.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to be honest. Lesser men than me would just say, hey, Nick, you're going to have to take like 5 minutes of the show. I'll be back. I'm going to power through it. If you're thinking my eyes are watering, I'm crying for something that somebody said, I'm not doing that. I got some issues going on in my lungs right now, but you know what? We're going to keep it moving. Running Reds. I think I said yesterday on X, and I kind of feel this way moving forward a little bit. I know that you can't just try to copy everybody. Everybody wants to try to say, well, just be the Guardians, right? Or let's just be the Brewers. And I think that's easier said than done, clearly. But there is something that is just more enjoyable when you see good defense, which maybe we'll talk about in the show, maybe we won't a lot, but there was a couple good defensive plays. I will openly say that Jonathan India made a really good play tonight, okay? I don't want people to sit here and act like we don't ever give credit where credit's due. Jonathan India made a really good play tonight, and Stuart Fairchild continues to do what he does in the outfield from time to time as well. And also the speed pass, or the speed on the base paths, clearly is something, Nick, that this team takes pride in. But I'll also openly admit that we got to get a little bit better, I think, on the baseball IQ side of things, on when to be aggressive, when not to be aggressive. But to be clear, Nick, I would like them to be aggressive more times than not. We just can't be dumb, you know? I would rather get out being aggressive, but we can't be trying to take second base on a tag-up situation from first base when the fly ball is directly in center field like yesterday with Espinal. Those are the types of things I think people just piss people off. But it ruins, in my opinion, Nick, it kind of ruins what is maybe a strength of this team, which is the aggressiveness and taking extra bases.
Yeah, I mean, I think Santiago Espinal last night is probably the perfect example because he made 3 outs on the bases, and 2 of them I didn't really have a problem with. Like,
agree.
It is what it is. That's a casualty of playing this brand of baseball. The third one was just absolutely stupid. You can't have it happen. So, like I think that the other 2, when those happen, you gotta realize that, okay, that's part of just this style, this brand of baseball. But when it works, man, it can really work. Like, they were completely in the head of Woodford in the first inning. He was absolutely rattled, and not every pitcher is going to get rattled. I mean, I know Jake Woodford's not really had a storied big league career, but but it really is a weapon. So it's not the only thing, though. Like, the Reds can't just build this cute little, we run the bases and we steal a ton. Like, that's not the only thing that's going to win. You got to hit home runs. You got to hit for power. But when you can do those 2 things together, you also can play good defense, which hopefully the Reds are going to trend that way here at some point in the near future with some of the players that are coming up. And you couple that with good pitching, that can make a really, really good baseball team. And a team that really is, like you said, really fun to watch and really enjoyable because, man, when it works like tonight, it's a lot of fun.
Base running is going to get what I would call like ridiculed, or it's going to come under a microscope when the offensive production is lack thereof, right? And I think more times than not this year, unfortunately for the Reds, they found themselves in position, Nick, where it's almost like they're trying too hard on the base pass because they inevitably know that it feels like they got to make something happen. And I'm not trying to make excuses all the time for everybody, but it certainly feels like when you try to stretch that double, that single into a double, and you get thrown out, and it's a bang-bang play, but you've only had 2 hits all day, and you're in the 7th inning, it just leads to fans becoming a little more frustrated than they would on a night like tonight, where you pound out 12 hits, and you're not too overly concerned about 1 out on the base pass because they're just not so precious as there seems to be in other games. So just one small other point towards kind of the optics, if anything, on what the Reds look like. So on the base pass, but we'll see moving forward. I don't think they're going to go away from it because of the type of the players that they have more than anything. It's one thing, Nick, in my opinion, to put up a poster on the wall as a franchise and a culture and be like, we're going to run the bases hard and we're going to do X, Y, Z, which they did do that in spring training, right? Like, this is the poster child, TJ Friedl, look at him play. But I just think that the personnel that they put out there every day is going to lend itself for this to continue to happen. Guys like TJ Friedl, guys like De La Cruz. I know people don't want to hear this, but I think Fairchild, for the most part, is a pretty damn good base runner. I'm sure I'm missing some guys here that ultimately I'm probably going to get ridiculed for. But again, we'll see what what happens going into next season, but I would like for the Reds to continue their aggressive base running. They just got to know when to dial it back slightly from time to time. All right, jumping into Aguilar. I, as I said before, I didn't get a chance to see a ton of him throwing the ball, but clearly just based off of looking at the box score, seeing the highlights towards the end of the game, did more than a serviceable job. I'll let you kind of fill in the color if you'd like on him, but not overpowering stuff. But I'm assuming he located well and was able to use his off-speed pitches to his effectiveness, and his changeup, based off the last outing, was the thing that I probably was most impressed with.
Yeah, he did actually get 10 swing and misses tonight, which is a little more than a decent chunk of his starts that he got down at AAA. Fastball was up almost at 96. I mean, he made that one really bad mistake to Rowdy Tellez, but I mean, other than that, he felt like he was in control of the game, and certainly it's a lot easier to be in control of the game when you get a 4-0 lead right away. But yeah, I mean, look, this is a guy that at this point in the season is one of the more intriguing players for me to watch what he does every time he takes the ball. But he's definitely a guy that has some upside. I don't know how ready he is, but this is a great audition for him for the rest of the year. And just because he pitches great, he still should not be guaranteed a rotation spot by any means. Honestly, I'd say even if he does pitch great, he probably shouldn't. The Reds he should still be plan B. But it's nice if you feel better about your plan B going into next year. It's nice that if you need him to start the year because you have some injuries in spring training, you feel more confident in that. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by watching him. He seems like a really good competitor. And we're talking about that on the broadcast. Jim Day mentioned in particular, and look, Jim Day might have been blowing smoke, but Jim Day said that, he sees a lot of these young pitchers come up, and Jim Day's been doing it for a very long time. And he said, sometimes a lot of them don't really look like they belong. He said he just has a really great air of confidence about him, the way he carries himself. And yeah, I'm excited. He definitely earned more starts. Definitely has earned at least several more starts, in my opinion. I think he's reached the point now where, Trace, I think even if he has maybe a couple bad starts, I want to keep the Reds running him out there and see what they can get, at least for a little while here.
Let's face it, the guy last year, maybe not in the exact same position that Aguilar's in. And again, it's not apples to apples here. But Brandon Williamson certainly came up. You didn't really expect maybe a whole lot from him when he came up, and then all of a sudden you were pleasantly surprised, and he continued to throw the ball well, and then you find yourself in a position where you're like, well, like it or not, you can't really do a whole lot with him, even if you thought that maybe somebody's better just based off of how well he's thrown the baseball when he's been given the opportunity. So Aguilar is kind of in the same situation now where I'm with you. I actually think at this point, unless a lot of guys get healthy fast, and Abbott and Green specifically, which I doubt, which I'm sure we'll get to here in a little bit. But point is you just keep running him out there, and you hope he throws the ball well, and you go into next season again, Nick, with maybe a whole host of guys that you can trust. But let's be honest, you never know. I mean, Connor Phillips was a guy that entering spring training, we would have expected that he might have been one of the guys fighting for a starting rotation spot at some point this year. And, I almost made a joke, but I didn't. But he's basically broken, and he's in the Arizona Complex League. I mean,
he's back.
Is he back? Are we finally back? I'm glad to see he's back in Louisville. But nonetheless, I mean, long story short, you just don't know. And Aguilar's a guy who maybe he fills a spot that we weren't sure that we were going to need to be filled. So the more the merrier. I'm not going to get overly excited about it, but I do like the fact that he's got some. And again, I'm not a big Reds Infor analytics guy like he is, but hopefully he'll paint a picture of how good that changeup is. I don't know the stuff plus on it, but last time I seen it, man, I was like, you can live on that a little bit. You can live on that.
4 whiffs on 7 swings on the changeup tonight. So
that's good.
He didn't throw it a ton. I mean, he only threw it 18 times in the game, but it was definitely very effective when he did go to it.
Which is fine. I mean, a changeup you're not going to be able to throw a ton anyways, because really it's more of it's a pitch you're trying to get kind of a swing and miss on and or a ground ball on. But You can't throw it too many times, but for the most part, every time I've seen him throw it, I'm like, I can live with that.
He mixes pitches very well. I mean, 44 sinkers, 18 changeups, 16 sliders, 13 curveballs. So it's a pretty nice balance. He's probably going to have a few starts if he finishes out the rest of the season where he probably gets hit really hard and has some rough outings, but he definitely feels like he has a plan and he feels like he knows what he's doing. It feels like he knows the kind of pitcher that he needs to be successful. It's just going to be a matter of him, getting the reps and kind of getting through this transition of trying to pitch at the big leagues.
Yeah. All right. Jumping to the back half of the rundown. Game time. If you're looking to get tickets to any type of place that might be accepting tickets on the way in, download the Game Time app and use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y. You can get $20 off your first purchase. An official MLB ticketing app, as you've said, Nick, before. And the Reds only have not a ton of baseball left in Cincinnati. So, as I said before, it might be December, and you're going to be wishing and praying you could go to the ball yard, grab a beer, and maybe, get you a hot dog, pizza, whatever it may be. Sky Rosa. So, never too late to get down to the ball yard. If you're going to go, use the Game Time app and use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y, for $20 for purchase. And as always, the whole situation there, terms do apply. 988, text, call. Life is better with you in it. Mantherapy.org. I'll tell you what, the Reds needed a win tonight because, I know that it ultimately in the grand scheme of things wouldn't probably technically matter. But it's just, I really don't want to limp to the finish. Nick, I was pretty concerned about that yesterday just because it just felt like this team didn't have a lot of life left in it after what you thought was an opportunity to win the game. I'm not going to say they should have won the game, but there was an opportunity to win the game there in the ninth inning. You get a leadoff double by Benson, and you're not able to bring him home with nobody out. And then I said, I don't want to say they could have packed it in, but it's nice to see that they have some professionals. I'm not trying to give them too much credit for coming and playing a child's game tonight and Saturday in a beautiful town with beautiful weather. But let's face it, you can't start to pack it in. They haven't done that.
Yeah, I think that you definitely don't want that. I mean, that's the one thing you're probably fighting as much as anything. But yeah, I mean, this team has, when they've had some ugly games, or some really disappointing games or games that got away from them, they have found a way a lot of the times to bounce back on the next day. They haven't hung their head after them. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see. And I want to ask you this, Trace, because I don't know. I don't know, honestly, how I feel about this, but does it almost make you feel better that the way this season's gone outside of the Reds, where the Braves right now are projected to win 88 games and the Brewers are projected to win 92 games? Like, I don't think any of us realistically thought the Reds were going to win 88 games this year.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
I know what you're saying. Is it going to make us feel better if we look back and we're like, hey, wildly enough, the final wild card spot in the National League, which at one time we thought was going to be possibly 81 to 82 wins, which is kind of funny now looking back at that. But no, I'm with you. Yes, I am kind of with you, right? It's like, it's kind of like if you lose a championship game in a way, and you lose on a mistake of your own, or you lose by a fluky bounce. In a way, you'd almost just rather get your tail kicked and you not have to worry about it all season and not agonize over the one small thing that happened that could have changed something, right? Like, I mean, hypothetically speaking, if you're an Ohio State fan, you don't want to hook a kick left by 20 yards with a chance to go to the national championship, and not only go to the national championship, but pretty much certainly win it if you do that. But you do. But you hook it, and now you got to worry about it all off season. You rather just get beat by 40. I guess to answer your question, I would rather end the year and see the Braves win 90 games and the Brewers win 92 games and be like, you know what? It was just a crappy season. We'll move on. We probably weren't going to win 90 games anyways. if the 81 wins would have gotten you into the playoffs this year, Nick, I would have been sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That was more my point. I don't completely agree with you on the it not like mattering at all, because as someone who's watched a lot of Reds baseball and a lot of September Reds baseball that didn't matter, I will say that 2021 and 2023, while it didn't go the Reds' way, I enjoyed a playoff chase. I enjoyed the daily following the scoreboard and all that. So I still would personally would rather, even if they're not going to make the playoffs, to be in it till the end, because there is something that's really fun about that as a baseball fan. But at the end of the year, I think it's a lot easier to stomach that this year didn't go the Reds' way. And if they, let's say the Reds finish this year 81-81, it's not going to feel as bad if it would have been 83 wins, like you said, to get in the playoffs, because it might take 90 wins this year, which is insane.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. But it's all semantics, as we know. But yeah, I it'll make me feel better. If anything else, it'll make me feel better. Jumping into the good defense, I think I brought that up obviously at the beginning of the show. India makes a good play. Fairchild continues to make pretty good plays. TJ Friedel's a consistent guy, but Espinal made some good plays tonight too. I mean, he's already showcased he's probably one of the better infielders on this team. We've questioned why, he hasn't gotten an opportunity to play more infield, which I think is a mistake. I think you had laid it out pretty eloquently earlier, this month. I think you had brought up, Espinal would have been nice to let him play a little bit more defensively than he has. It is nice, though, that the Reds didn't want to overshadow, Barry Bonds on Barry Bonds night by having Marte in the lineup and having him do, some big league things. So, I thought that was very nice by David Bell. It was a very, very classy move by him to make sure that Barry Bonds didn't get overshadowed. But I do want to I don't know. It's just nice to see our team play good defense, because they don't play good defense hardly ever. And I mean that with all due respect, of course.
Espinal's been playing. He started I don't know. Fangraphs goes back to the last 6. He started the last 6 games. 5 of those have been in the field, and he started a few more before that. So David Bell's riding with him right now. Espinal had 4 hard hit balls tonight. He's been a really nice player. The kind of player that I think you do feel pretty good about going into next year as a bench piece. I mean, you don't want to see Thiago Espinal starting, but I think you keep him. I mean, he's 100%. Up to a 690. He's up to a 690 OPS, and he was atrocious for 2 months.
I'll say this: if you flip Espinal's season around, you put the part of the season where he really, really struggled in September, and you put what he's doing now at the beginning of the season, and the narrative on Espinal and the outlook on Espinal is significantly different. Even though it's the same throughout the entire year, the outlook is considerably different. And I know I'm not getting rid of him, especially by the way he's ending the season. And you just never know what happens in these things where, again, I'm not trying to make excuses and be like, everybody always wants give a handout to a lot of these guys. We obviously all know Fraley's situation, and we all, basically try to give him a pass for the difficulties he's gone through this year. TJ Friedel's been hurt, basically every other month. But Espinal's a guy that got traded in the middle of spring training, essentially, had to come over, had to kind of get adapted to a whole new environment, and then kind of probably felt, in my opinion, the pressure of having to try to stick or fill a void that he knew that this team had. And maybe I'm overthinking it, and Espinal's just not good enough to be, a consistent player all year long. But I'm starting to think that there's more merit to the play he's had over the last month and a half and 2 months than what we've seen for the first month of the season, which was atrocious. I mean, he was quite literally one of the worst players in Major League Baseball. And it just looks like he's found his comfort zone now. Hopefully you can kind of carry that over. And as you just mentioned, we don't want him starting by any stretch of imagination, but I would love for him to be a defensive replacement towards the end of games, be a guy that if you wanted to give McLean or if you wanted to give Ellie a day off, which I know we don't want to give those guys a day off too many times, but You could give a plethora of guys days off, and he could kind of fill that role. And crazy enough thing, Nick, is like, I don't know what happened with India. I don't know. But Espinal is a guy that they even threw him out in the outfield. Maybe he's a guy that could kind of be like Spencer Steer-ish, but instead of being a good offensive player, he's just going to be a really good defensive player, and he's similar to what Steer provides to this team. Just a thought.
I had put on the Toronto broadcast when the Reds were playing the Blue Jays. I was trying to get some content or something for what we do.
Yeah.
When Espinal got the standing ovation, and I heard the Blue Jays broadcasters talking about Espinal. One of the things they said was that they really loved about him was they said that when he was with the Blue Jays, he could go like 2 or 3 weeks without play. Like literally he's just on the back of the bench. He's a defensive replacement. He comes in sparingly. There's an injury. He plays every single day. And they said it didn't feel like he skipped a beat. And after you kind of watch Espinal this year and now he's played, you kind of see, yeah, I think he could kind of be that guy. And there's definitely some value to that because you have other guys that, it's not an unknown. Like you could, you have a guy, you get hurt, you call someone from AAA to take a spot. What are you going to get? I mean, sometimes you really get lucky. You get like a Reese Hides coming up and having this incredible thing. But more often than not, as we see, it's usually guys that are in the minor leagues for a reason, right? And so just kind of having that guy that can fill those gaps when you need, but also not really lose anything or lose his ability to hit and his ability to produce when he has to sit for 2 weeks at a time. I think that does have some added value to it.
100% has value if it's true, to be clear. I don't know for sure if that's the case. This year he's certainly felt like that, but he also struggled really bad at the beginning of the season, and I don't know if that was because of the inconsistencies that existed or not. But nonetheless, listen, Espinal has been playing really, really good, and it's good to see. Casey Kelly, obviously Pat Kelly's son, the manager of the Louisville Bats. Cool story where you get to tell your son that he's going to the big leagues. We all know that's probably in and of itself a very personal thing for the Kelly family as a whole, and I think they even mentioned that they kind of found a way to get their whole family involved with that situation. But he came in tonight and got a save. I mean, you throw he did the old proverbial 3 innings. If you throw 3 innings at the end of the game, you get the save. So I think it's his first save of his career, if I remember on the broadcast saying that correctly. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it because he might come out the next outing and give up 9 runs. But he did, Nick, have a good Korean career. Okay, he did have a good Korean career. I know that there's going to be people, we already got some supers about the nepotism thing. But you know what? He threw the ball well enough to get an opportunity, and it's good for him tonight to see him have success.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was nepotism why he got to go be signed to the Reds.
Yes.
But he also did fill a need too. But again, like these guys that you're signing for your AAA depth, a lot of times you're picking through the barrel, right? So
right.
Why not throw your long-term AAA manager that's been in the organization for 100 years a bone?
Yes.
And it was cool that it worked out tonight. Yeah, he did have a nice career in the KBO. I know he got released this year, so I don't know enough. Threw the ball really well today. I mean, it's a little bit easier to throw when you have a 10-2 lead, but to his credit, I mean, it was a very needed off day for the entire Reds bullpen because the last 3 days, the Reds bullpen has been used extensively. So everyone needed a day off. Honestly, he probably gets DFA'd tomorrow and finds his way back to Louisville. But I don't know. Maybe the Reds will be like, you know what? Hey, this guy, we could use a guy that could be a long man that is a professional. And I say that in the terms of a guy that is going to come out and he's going to throw strikes. If you look through his career, he throws strikes. Like in the KBO, he walked under 2 batters per 9 innings each of the last 3 seasons. So maybe there is a need for that as the Reds kind of wind down this year when they know, hey, we need to fill 3 or 4 innings. We definitely don't want to overextend our relievers that we're counting on next year. And maybe they do. Maybe they do give him a shot, but it's not really Like he's just filling a need, but he filled a need. It was cool to see it also be a really cool moment for him and his family.
I completely agree 100%. I don't think there was anything wrong with the situation. I don't have any problem with it. I think if nothing else, as you said, throwing your AAA manager who's been a part of the organization forever a little bit of a bone, and it also helps fill a need to a certain extent. It worked out perfectly, right? It worked out perfectly.
He was also supposed to start tomorrow for Louisville, so it was literally he was in line to pitch, so he was the freshest, and obviously calling up a fresh arm worked out really well for the Reds today.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, Reds win. They win 10-2. Reds MILB is still in action. We still have a couple teams that are still fighting. They're still hanging out, fighting the fight that I'm sure we'll continue to follow here. But, Nick, Reds MILB presented by you. I don't know if you got a chance to get to all of them because, as always, on nights like tonight, some of them might not be final, but take a crack at it.
Yeah, we're in the bottom of the ninth in AAA. Louisville's trying to come back. They are down 5-4 to Gwinnett. Joey Weimer just walked, and Tucker Barnhart struck out. I don't know how many outs that is, but they're down 5-4. Blake Dunn has a hit tonight. Joey Weimer on base twice. That's 3 straight games for him that he's been on base at least twice. So that's definitely a shot in the right direction. Zulueta continues to struggle. Zach Maxwell did throw a scoreless inning. Double-A, that one did go final back-to-back days, Trace, and the Chattanooga Lookouts have shut out a team.
Wow.
They won 3-0 over Mississippi. I didn't get it into the graphics, but I do have all the notes here. Jose Acuna, this is a guy I'm getting really excited about. 4 shutout innings, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He's a guy that's been hurt a lot, but this year he's only allowed 2 earned runs in 26 in the 3rd innings pitched. It's a 0.69 ERA between the ACL Reds and now Double-A Chattanooga. Guy that definitely has a lot of talent. If he can stay healthy, be a huge, huge bonus for the Reds. He was part of the Tyler Naquin return. And then Tyler Callahan, another guy that I'm really excited about. Just 1 for 4 tonight, but he extended his on-base streak to 25 games. Dayton, they trail Cedar Rapids 5-4. They're in the top of the 10th. Dayton is at home. So Cedar Rapids has only brought in scored the ghost runner so far. But Dayton was down 4-0 in this game and fought back. Ethan O'Donnell, as mentioned, hit a home run. Cam Collier hit a home run. I tell you what, if I didn't do this show, if I'm being completely honest with you, I'd probably be watching Dayton a lot more closely than the Reds. But it is what it is. Leo Balcazar also 2 extra base hits. He's playing really well. That team is just awesome. I did some research, Trace.
What's up?
I did some research, okay? So I was curious about the Dayton Dragons' potential playoff hopes. Yep. They have a 4.5 game lead with 14 games left, so not a done deal. But they're looking at a good spot. So the way that series works, Dayton actually would get a home game. I thought for sure these minor league teams, they would just play. It's a best of 3 series. They'd play it all at the number 1 seed. No, they would get to host game 1, which is on Tuesday, September 10th. Then there'd be an off day, and then they would come up to Lake County and me for game 2 and game 3 if necessary. So September 10th.
September 10th.
Mark your calendar.
Might do
Mark
that,
your calendars. I would absolutely be there. I mean, it's a really fun team. I really encourage people to try to check them out. There's a lot of really fun players. They're all playing really well. They got great energy, just all the kind of good stuff you want from a minor league affiliate. And honestly,
is Bazana playing for the team that's up by you?
Yeah. So I mean, you could have Dragons and Bazana in the playoffs. That could be a really fun playoff series. So, but again, still have to get there. But it's looking good at the moment. So, but overall, just general minor league thoughts before we get to Daytona. The Reds' first half in the minor leagues was an utter disaster. I mean, it was as bad as it could get. But what we're seeing right now with Dayton and Daytona, the way these teams are finishing the year, and just so many of the guys that you wanted to count on are performing really well. And there's also been some bonuses like guys like Tyler Callahan that have played really well. that's really giving me a lot of hope because, man, if the second half would have gone about the way the first half went, coupled with the big league club this year, that would have been pretty brutal. But Dayton, they went final first. Daytona, they went final first because those lovely people play 6:30 games. They did lose to Jupiter 5-2. They had their 4-game win streak snapped. They now have a 4.5 game lead over Jupiter. So the two teams will play again tomorrow, Trey. It's going to be a pretty big game because Daytona is either going to have a 5.5 game lead over Jupiter, or they're going to cut it down to 3.5 games with a couple weeks left. Sammy Stafora on base twice. He's also stole his 28th bag of the year. Ricardo Cabrera 0 for 4. Ismet Pineda 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Yerling Confidant, he was just 1 for 5, but he had 2 balls hit over 110 miles per hour. Every single time they have StatCast numbers on him, this guy just absolutely crushes the ball. So definitely got a lot of talent. One negative, though, is Cole Schoenwetter. Man, he has had a really tough year. He was the Reds' 4th round pick last season. He's got now an even 7 ERA and a 1.98 whip in 45 innings between the ACL Reds and Low A Daytona. But yeah, that's it. We'll have the rest on the old podcast in the morning.
Dayton's won 9. You might have said this. They've won 9 in a row, man. 9 in a row, yes. And they're currently obviously down by a run in the top of the 10th to Cedar Rapids. So maybe they're able to rally. Nope, now it's 3. Yep, that just happened. So.
3-run homer, yeah.
Well, it was a 9-game winning streak. Yeah, we'll see. But nonetheless, also not a bad thing of drop into Jupiter in her hair.
Drop into Jupiter. Yeah. No, Daytona's playing Jupiter.
You know, I know, but I'm saying, or you said earlier, it's Daytona drop to Jupiter. I said that's not a bad thing, especially if she acts like summer and walks like rain. Just saying.
I didn't have Train on my Chatterbox Reds bingo card tonight. But...
Well, what a great song. I mean, a fantastic song. All right. Anything else that we have to get to tonight? I don't think so, other than 2, as we all know, I guess at this point, they're traditions. I don't know what else to say other than that. Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, just do it in real time.
No.
It's okay. You're good. You got it.
All right.
Nice. Very good. Good. Nice. It's stuck. Stuck the landing. Shout out to you on that. Hey, listen. Another night that we're closer to a Reds playoff appearance. Now, some would say a lot longer, a lot farther away than we'd like it to be, but maybe this is just what it's meant to be. September 10th. I got to come up with something, though. All right? We got to come up with something. I'm not smart enough to come up with it, so other people are welcome to try to figure it out. The Dayton Dragons. Uh-oh. Nick's trying to say something. And I'm out. What? Oh, no. Oh, no. Trace is flying. Who, what, when, where, and why? Oh, no.
You were just ready for the outro there.
I knew I was missing something, but damn, I was like, man, we've had a pretty quick show. 50 minutes. Nothing like a 50-minute show. But, hey.
Yeah, you haven't listened to 20 minutes of Luis Ortiz notes yet. So, I mean.
That's right. Let's do it. Luis Ortiz, who, what, when, where, and why. The Reds have no idea, but Nick will tell us all about it.
Well, I guess Nick Martinez is pitching. Isn't that on 3 days rest? That's interesting. Didn't he pitch earlier this week? 3 days ago? I don't know. The days leave me. But anyways, I guess Nick Martinez is pitching. The Reds have him listed now on the website. They didn't before. But Luis Ortiz for the Pirates, 5-4, 3.56 ERA. He's having a really nice year. Is 0-2 with a 6.45 ERA in August. He's allowed at least 1 homer in each of his last 5 games. This guy's pitched really well against the Reds, though, in his career. 2.35 ERA in 3 career games against the Reds. 17 strikeouts, just 5 walks. Ortiz relies mostly on 4 pitches, a slider, 4-seamer, sinker, and cutter, occasionally a changeup. Fastball averages 96 miles per hour. Active Reds just 7 for 34. India is the best 2 for 4 with a double. Marte's 1 for 2, but Ellie's 1 for 5. Steer is 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. So Reds trying to get out of town with a split. City in the ballpark they have not played well in of late.
All right. My apologies for jumping the gun, folks. I didn't mean to do that. That was a mistake by me. Won't be made again. What I was trying to say before I got to the point where I realized that we forgot who, what, when, where, and why. I was trying to say that we need to come up with a plan. I don't know what that plan is on September 10th, but if the Dayton Dragons are going to make the postseason, I'm happy to go. I'm happy to try to organize some semblance of maybe a night of us to go up there for those that might be interested in going and checking that out. Cam Collier, Bazana. Those are two headliners. That, would be pretty cool to say that you were at a minor league baseball game when those two guys played against each other. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be like Sal Stewart or somebody else that ends up being the marquee name, Jay Allen. Who knows? But I know this, September 10th, mark it on your calendars. The Dayton Dragons are going to host a playoff game. I'm going to go dunk a basketball because that's what we said we were going to do after every Reds win. Go Reds.